But I wanted to pause and just reflect a little bit on what Judge Joe Gerace has meant to the Robert Jackson Center. You know about the community. That's sort of a given. And you know the various awards he's been given, and that's legion. The reason we're here today, under many instances, is because of the dedication of the Honorable Joseph Gerace. On many fronts, he has been there in lockstep, whether it's the first law days that we had here. We're celebrating Stanley Week's honored law day, but we had him here,
Right.
and you spoke here.
Yeah.
You spoke about civil rights, not voting rights. We talked about civil rights. By the way, this is the 50th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act. So Brown versus Board of Education. Joe Gerace was in lockstep with us. In whether we had the Chief Justice Rehnquist or we had Roberts, there was a justice of the Supreme Court here working, volunteering, and being there every point of the way. And so, as I reflected on you, as we will talk a little bit further, I can't help but say thank you. Thank you for all you've meant to us. You were the founder of the Robert H.Jackson Center, Inns of Court. There was no Inns of Court named after Robert Jackson until you got intimately involved. You're a doer. You're a AAA doer. And we wanted to do something to pause and say thank you. We were going to give you the esteemed portrait of Robert Jackson, but you already had it.
have one.
Yeah. And there's nothing worse than saying, you make a big deal, photo op, Andrea's right there, take a picture. Been there, done that, got it. No big deal, Greg. Move along, So what we did do, and hopefully you don't have this one, but this is the original biography of Robert Jackson, which was authored by Eugene Gerhardt, but most important, because you may have this book, but I bet you don't have it autographed by Eugene Gerhardt.
Oh, my God.
And so that's just what's made it special, and very few people have that, but nobody more special than you. And so we, on behalf of the Jackson Center, we just wanted to thank you.
Thank you. Wow.
So here it is.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
You studied Robert Jackson, and he was the chief American prosecutor at the Nuremberg trial, which was really the bookend of World War II. What's your sense? You both went to Albany Law School. You graduated and he didn't, and both became judges and justices. What's your sense of Robert Jackson as you sit here in the Robert Jackson Center?
Well, he's another of my heroes, as it were. There are times I wish I had the ability to clone people, and I'd love to have cloned him and had 9 of him on the U.S. Supreme Court. He really was a model judge. He didn't, any of his decisions were not based on politics. They were based on what he thought was right. And even if the case that he would decide would be against what the American government stood for, the American president stood for, he would make what he thought was a proper decision. And to be honest with you, I've read many of his decisions, and I don't recall any with which I would disagree.
You were on the other side of the bench trying cases. Give us your best war story. When you tried matters, you defended matters, something you'd say, it's something you guys, as we get around at the Bar Association meetings, guys start talking about stories.
Well, I can only remember at the moment, I remember trying it in front of Judge George Shiverton, who was a justice of the peace of the town of Bustye. And it was back in my early days when I would take speeding cases and the like, and when young people could afford to pay a lawyer on a speeding case. And in that case, I represented a man who had this beat-up truck, and he was charged with speeding 50 miles an hour in a 45-mile zone. And he convinced me. He said, my truck won't go 50 miles an hour. It hasn't. It's never gone that. And so the judge said, well, tell you what we're going to do, because he was kind of convinced that maybe the man had a point. I'm going to ride in that truck. Well, there was only one seat, and that was the driver's seat. There was a wooden bench, and the judge sat on that, and right next to the driver. And the driver got in the truck. We went on to the road, and he pushed the accelerator down, and the truck went up to 40, 45, 40, 45, 46, 45, 46. And I thought, man, we got this case won. Well, the judge then took the stick, and it's the shift, it was a floor shift, and he pulled it back. And sure enough, the car lurched ahead 46, 47, 52 miles an hour. And I lost the case. One other one, though, I've got to tell you about that I recall involved Judge Cass's father. He was a bulldog of a trial lawyer, just incredible. And I had a case, or I was retained. Ernest Leet couldn't handle the case for some reason or other, and he referred it to me. And it was a case where a farmer had wanted to burn some logs and the like, and that fire actually spread to the land of the adjoining owner, and burned some trees there and destroyed some property there. And so he sued the landowner that had started the fire. And Willard represented that individual. And I thought, geez, I have a case that is just a winner, no doubt about it. I felt very confident. And so my client got on the stand and he told the story. Fire started on the other side of the property and wasn't managed very well, and came over to his property and destroyed his valuable trees and part of his orchard. And so I thought, well, we've got this one. So doesn't Willard get up and say, well, now let's see. You own this Model A Ford, don't you? Yeah. I see. Well, weren't you convicted of dragging your dog that was tied to the rear of that truck, of dragging that dog down the road until it died? My case went right out the window. Wish I could remember a case I won.
Those aren't as much fun to talk about. But you're a winner under every instance that we've had. I mean, just your career, from not only the commitment you've made to Chautauqua County, the commitment you've made to the rule of law, the institution of things that heretofore had not been done, what you've done with the ags and markets, what you've done with the county, what you've done, and it's been received so well in our area through the awards you've won. And yet you humbly always deflect that. You just humbly are shy about saying, it's not me, it's other people. That's the way you are. That's the way you grew up. And I, for one, just want to pause and don't be shy and accept our applause for being Joe Gerace. Thank you very much.
Thank you.